We're going to be doing a film reaction to Mystic River, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Marsha Gay Harden, Lawrence Fishburne, Kevin Bacon, Laura Linney, and countless other talented actors. It was adapted from the novel, and Sean Penn and Tim Robbins both won Oscars for their roles and Golden Globes for their roles. It was released in 2003, set in Boston. So, Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself one more time.
Stephen F. McLean, actor, writer, director, musician, educator, way out Illinois.
Right on. Okay, so I asked Steve if he would do a film reaction with me. I'm gonna dedicate this film reaction video to my big brother in spirit, the late Sheldon McCullough. He and I loved watching this movie. We loved talking about it. I'm looking at this picture right now over here. I love him to death, and so I wanted to dedicate this to him, because we never did stuff like this online, and we should have. Anyway, so Steve, where do you want to start? With the writing, with the acting, with the direction, with the cinematography? It's on you.
Let's start from the beginning. We can start with the writing.
Yes.
I think I found the writing to be, I dug it. I really liked the writing. The story was rich. The screenplay was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
However, I found the first maybe third of it to be rather boring.
Okay.
Because this audition and all that build up. I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace to watch it. But watch it again, because I'm a very different person than when I watched it the first time. I saw it in the theaters. I was like, "Oh, this is great!" Blah, 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 blah. You know, all these years later, I'm like, this feels a little slow.
Okay.
You know, maybe I just wanted the pacing up a little bit.
And every aspect of
the director.
The third aspect of the film, or you mean in its entirety?
No, just the first third.
Oh, okay.
Like the first 20 minutes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna chime. Go ahead.
I mean, it was. I don't know. I guess because I had seen it before, I was ready to get to the meat of it.
Yeah.
But you know, it was cool that they showed how their friendship started in the beginning, and how this one act, one decision altered everyone's life. You know, when old boy Tim Robbins' little boy character ended up getting in the car for tearing up the sidewalk, or writing their names in the sidewalk, in the concrete in the sidewalk.
Let's talk.
I completely forgotten about that.
Yes. Right. Let's talk, okay? We're going to take it from the TOP.
Right.
Okay, so I love this film to death. I especially love the acting.
Mm-hmm.
Love the ensemble acting. I love the very kind of like overcast visual of the film. It could have been raining every day, but it was an emotionally heavy film, so it made sense that visually had this kind of overcast, this kind of dark, dreary visual. What really struck me, many things, but one thing is the start of the film. It's like Clint Eastwood introduced us to the Mystic River. Out the gate, this river has a significance to the story. Clearly, it's in the title, right? And we come as an audience into this, and he introduced us into this world of these young boys, these three young boys, just doing what little boys do, playing hockey, or and then being a little mischief. The Sean Penn character was a little mischief. It was innocent, like you write your name in a cement when it's not dry. It's not a major crime. It's who cares, right? And then the fact that the police, detective, plainclothes cops pull up in the car. Wait, before I get there, what I found interesting was how the Tim Robbins character. So Sean Penn wrote out his full name, and the other Sean character, and they both wrote out their names fully. When it got to Tim Robbins' character, Dave, he didn't finish writing out his full name, right? Which is symbolic to his life journey, right? It was prematurely cut short. Fire, to me, fire writing, fire directing, like,
Right.
we didn't get to the VE, we just got the DA, and I'm like, fire, boom. Then they introduced these shady characters, these demons, these men who come up, and again, young boys think, you were supposed to respect the police, the authorities. Of course, they would not lie to us and deceive us. They have a badge, and turns out the guy. What I thought was interesting, Steve, was how the villain who pretended to be a cop, he understood that Sean Penn's character as a little boy. I think people like that, they know who to mess with and who not to mess with, because they were all 12, right? But that man understood, I can't do this to this little boy. It's like he sensed that the Dave character was a little, I don't want to say weak, but he was softer. And Sean Penn character was like talking back to him, and I think he was like, he's gonna put up a fight. So I always think that's kind of interesting that he knew who to zone in on. He knew which of the three he could victimize. Go ahead, please.
It was also the fact that he lived on a different street. That's what I was thinking. That's what I from it when he was like, "Where do you live? Right there. Where do you live? Right here. Where do you live? 143. Like, you get in a car." Right.
Yeah, I believe that too. I definitely think it's also this, like, I think it's like in the wild, right? Not to compare humans to animals, but there's certain lions, they know who not to touch, and they know who to touch or who to try to pounce on. They know who not to pounce on. They know who they can pounce on. I feel like it was the same way, but he kind of like zoned in. But when the older guy, when he got in the car, and the guy turned around and he had like this Catholicism ring on, so that the young man can feel, the young man can feel assured and comforted, like, oh, we're safe, we won't harm you. And then they end up, what they do, Steve? You want to take over?
They take him and they lock him up in the basement. I mean, they don't show anything for real, but good. They molested him.
They molested him.
Right. I mean, It was just, it must have been awful, or whatever. Because you can tell as he became an adult, his mind was just scrambled. He opened the door and he's like, "Please, no more, no more, no more." And I don't know how he got away, but just him running through the woods. Yeah, just kind of.
Yeah. When he said, "Please, no more," sorry about the train, y'all. It broke my heart, because to me that statement says they raped him repeatedly. That's what it suggests to me.
Right.
And he just was so innocent. But it also showed the will of mankind, that though he was 12 years old and it was this two grown-ass men molesting him, raping him, he found a way to get out of that situation.
Right.
And I think that's the spirit to survive as a human being. And he had a youthfulness he's a youth, so he had, I guess, I don't know if you just summon up this strength. And then he's agile because he has more energy than these two older men. So I guess he just found a way to get out of that. He survived, but did he? I don't think he survived emotionally.
Yeah, physically he survived. Mentally, emotionally, he's done. He's gonna be stuck there at like 12, emotionally.
And wait a minute, isn't 12? That's pre-manhood, right? Like, I mean, you're not a man at 13, but
Besson.
right, exactly. It's like that
Right.
time he was molested at a time. James Baldwin too actually was molested at a time where he was coming
Really?
across that. Yes, according to the autobiography I read, that he was molested by a man in his community on his way to go on a date with a girl. Yes, yes, yes. But I just thought that was really, really interesting how he had a will to survive and he got out of there and he made it home. But I'm like, Steve, like, it's not, now it's cool to say you go to therapy, but I don't think he ever confessed that he was raped. I think he probably confessed that we all know that he was taken, abducted. But I like that's too much shame, right? To admit that you have been sodomized. I mean, you know.
Right. Repeatedly.
And then we're introduced, and he's the police or whatever. He's brought home. He's made it home, and we're introduced to the adult Sean Penn.
Right.
And Sean Penn's daughter. Now, my thing was, Steve, Sean Penn, and as an adult, owns a liquor store. The word on the street is he spent time in the pen. And they established as a child that he was a thief. You know, he had the potential to be a thief, and he followed through with that as an adult. But I'm like, Steve, how can you have to spend time in prison and own a bodega, a corner store?
You know what I'm going to say?
What?
It's the complexion of protection.
But even go ahead.
Even in fiction, when you are white, you are protected. Whatever you want to do, you can do, and it does not matter.
So you think even among the white community who are not committing crime and they know he's a lone criminal, you're saying even they cool with him?
Yeah.
Those who are not committing crime?
Yeah, the people in the community, in the neighborhood. Oh yeah.
Are you saying because they know him, or because he's white?
Both. I think him being white had a lot to do with it, but or whatever to open the store. You know, that's from the bank. It's never got. Well, we bypass the fact that you're a felon or a criminal who spent time in jail.
I'm wondering too, though. Did he have someone who was legitimate, like sign the papers?
Oh, that could be true.
Yeah, because I mean, it's some white folks like, you know, that's classism. They may not experience racism as white folks, but they definitely are on that classism, right? You come from the wrong side of the track, they looking down their nose at you. So they, you know, their racism is classism. Right. So that's why I was like, I don't know if it's just because he white in an all white community. They're like, okay, cool. Even though we know you commit crime, crazy. So, but we'll never know. So what about when when Sean Penn discovers his daughter is missing in her car, she may possibly be killed. The way he reacted to discovering that in fact it is his daughter. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, like when he comes up and sees the crowd, it's like, hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And then when he sees his daughter's car, the look of fear that comes over his face and all the life just drains out of his face. That, you know, because Sean Penn's character was supposed to be this tough guy who doesn't, you know, he spent some time in jail, you know, because of some snitch, and you know, he's your stereotypical John Wayne tough guy. But then his little girl is missing. Her car is shot up, got blood, and he's like, and that's a fear that he has never felt before. And he couldn't hide that.
No, no. That's a good point. And you know,
Right. And then he tries to calm himself down.
he does.
Go ahead.
I was saying, adding to what you were saying, like, for him, he's an alpha male. He's an alpha man, the Sean
Right.
Penn character. And for him to show such vulnerability, but I think it's a code among even gangsters. If it's your child, this okay. In that instance, in the way in which his daughter was killed, it's cold. It's cool. I think it's fine because it's like your daughter was killed, murdered. So that's
Right.
I think that's the only time they're gonna show vulnerability. And and what did you think about his performance in that and his reaction to discovering it was his daughter?
I thought it was extremely realistic. You know, and I found that I was trying to. That's probably why I didn't like it in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
because since it came out and since the first time I saw it, I've become a father of some little girls.
Yeah.
So I think because I knew what was about to happen, I was trying to distance myself from his character.
Yeah.
And thinking about my little girls, and then seeing him go through it. That's exactly how I would have reacted, except I'd have probably started swinging on everybody and killing everybody.
Well, I mean, it took like 10 policemen, right, to hold him down.
Right.
And word on the street is, on the artistic street was, they were really struggling because Sean Penn, he completely lives. He doesn't like act. So they were like, it really took all those men to hold him down. And I'm wondering, Steve, that was one take. I hope it was one take.
I hope so too.
Because, like Lawrence Fishburne said when he did What's Love Got to Do with It, the rape scene in the booth.
Yeah.
He said, no, one time. You get one time. That's it. I'm not doing this more than one time.
I remember that. I remember
right? In an interview, I heard him say that, or a featurette. So I'm thinking, and Clint Eastwood, I heard he's a one-take wonder. Yeah, he's a one-take wonder. It's like, I got it.
Makes sense.
Which means they probably rely heavily on stand-ins for lighting purposes, for those who don't know. Lighting purposes and positionality to the camera so that they don't have to be concerned with that. Tell Sean his mark, what he knows where the camera is, and then you can just live and not to do it again. So also too, we discovered that his wife, Sean Penn, is remarried. He has the daughter, and he has 2 other daughters with this woman, with Laura Linney, and she is hinting that before they discover that the daughter is killed or murdered, she's hinting that that he has more favoritism for his older daughter than he does for her 2 children that she had for him.
Right.
Sheldon actually brought that out, pointed that out to me, that she has, I think, some resentment towards the oldest child because, one, she did not give birth to her, and even Sean Penn character, even throughout the movie, acknowledges that he said, I loved her most of all. And although he thought he was hiding it, his wife was very aware of it.
Right.
And then if we want to talk about Tim Robinson, how he was interacting with his son and with his wife, and when he comes in and he has this partial knife stuck inside his chest, and his wife questions him.
Oh yeah. And then, so she's like, okay, we'll cover it up. You go take care of what you need to take care of. I'll get rid of your clothes. We in this to win this. Unit together, you and me against the world. And then the next day when she hears about Sean Penn's daughter, she's like, something ain't adding up. So I think she may have been part of the misdirection.
Yes.
For the audience as well as Sean Penn.
Yes.
To start to put the blame on Tim Robbins' character.
and it's her husband.
Right.
So she was basically committing treason against her own husband.
Right.
Because the thing is, I meant to say that Kevin Bacon, you guys, I'm sorry, Kevin Bacon was one of the three friends when they were boys. He grew up to be, as an adult, he was a detective, and he was assigned to this case because it was federal property, the Park District is the federal authority, and so him and Lawrence Fishburne were partners. Kevin Bacon had his own him and his wife was separated because I guess he would bring all his work home and would not be there for her, although she'd just given birth. And I have to say, Steve, she was annoying to me. I was like, why is she in this story? I don't care.
Right, calling and just sitting on the phone.
It's like, will you talk already?
Right.
I mean, I guess he felt that part was necessary because he said the work consumes him, which means it spills over into his own home life, and there's a divide there because of that. But Lawrence Fishburne is, as y'all know, my favorite actor, and he's an example of not having he wasn't late. So it was the hierarchy of the casting is Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Kevin Bacon, Laura Lynn, and then Lawrence Fishburne, right? But he's an example of like, you get that script and you make it your own and you make sure you're memorable. Right. And Lawrence is going to always be memorable.
Right.
He challenged Sean Penn because he's like, did you spend time in prison? Maybe this is connected. And then Sean Penn was like kind of pissed at him. And Lawrence Fishburne was not scared of him. And like, basically this is part of the investigation. Your ass was in prison and maybe somebody's taking revenge. And we just discovered that it was an indirect form of revenge.
And also to piggyback on what you said, who are they? The Savage Brothers, I think. They were starting to question everybody. Lawrence Fishburne was like, because everybody else is going to back down from Sean Penn's character. Fishburne was like, look, this is our job. He's like, how much longer you need? You got a little bit of time. He's like, are you giving us no?
What's a deadline?
Are you threatening us? Right, giving us a deadline. Because it's not gonna happen, bro. It'll happen when it happens.
Yeah.
I love that he did not back down.
He did
from
not.
this other dude. Whereas Kevin Bacon's character was like, that's my boy, that's my friend. He's always trying to make excuses for him or whatever. And Fishburne was like, no, I like this.
Yeah, I like it. It felt like they were both alpha males, and it was like, I'm not backing down. I'm not backing down either. I'm a little more cool-headed than you are, Sean Penn, but we can do this. I like, what I love about this is the drama of it all. Like, for example, Sean Penn chose to be vulnerable before Tim Robbins' character. Like at the funeral, remember after the funeral at the house, Sean Penn's father-in-law came in the kitchen, reminded him, don't forget let's talk, Steve. Don't forget your domestic duties. And Sean Penn, you want to take over? Go ahead.
And then he's like, you're going to be sad because, when my wife died, blah, 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 blah. He's like, your wife died of cancer and it was expected. My daughter was murdered. She was taken from me. She was beaten to death. Don't give me all that nonsense about it'll be fine in a little while. No, it's not. And that was great. Because that was realistic.
Yeah, that dynamic was really, really fire, because also too, like he said, I told my daughter Annabelle, you got yourself a real old school man there.
Oh yeah.
So y'all, in the writing of it all, what they call the window characters, right? So the window characters in the screenplay is a character who describes they describe the central character. So you find out what through their interactions, but he was basically saying you got yourself a real old school man there. And I think Sean Penn kind of knew, he felt in some way that his past brought death to his own daughter. He didn't know how, but he just felt like, my dirt has brought. Is your daughter?
Huh? No, it's the fire truck.
Oh, okay. I like how the wife of Tim Robbins. Oh no, when Tim Robbins is in the bar before the daughter's killed, she's like 19 years old, about to elope and go to Vegas and marry her boyfriend, who Sean does not like. She's dancing on the bar and all that, and he's looking at her, Steve, like. You can't tell. I thought the acting was ambiguous on purpose. You couldn't tell if he was like turned on by her,
right?
Because he always looking so creepy and like, distance in the eyes. And I'm like, I thought that was smart. That he's giving off this look like, I'm really attracted to this 19-year-old lady, because 19 is grown. But that wasn't it. Steve, you don't think that? Let's talk. Steve, you don't think 19 is grown?
I don't know. When I was 19, I thought I was grown, but as I've gotten older, I realized how young 19 really is.
But do you think 19 is an adult?
Legally, yes, but I think emotionally, I don't think we're really adults until like our mid-20s.
Really? Yeah, that's always an interesting conversation about 18. I think too, because like back in the 20s and the early 1900s, people had substantial responsibilities as children.
Right.
And I think they matured. So 18 was not like, oh, you're not grown. No, in the 1900s, 18 was grown as hell.
The 1900s.
In the 1920s, it was in the 30s. It was like nobody was like, "Oh, girl, you're not." No, it's like you're 18. Like most people had children and were married by then. So it's different. So now I can see what you're saying. The maturity level may not be the same as it was like in the early part of the 20th century. Yeah. I thought this was like how he built up to like the suspense of thinking that Tim Robbins was in fact. Tim Robbins looked guilty. Right. He wasn't guilty, but he looked guilty. And sometimes that's enough for a mob mentality. That's enough sometimes.
Right. Right.
With no evidence.
And that it pretty much was.
Right.
That's the way it pretty much ended up.
Yeah, it was social media before social media.
Right. The whispers in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to cancel you. Like, literally. We're going to cancel your life. What did you notice? You're a musician. Did you notice the beautiful music score? Or did it not really impact you?
It didn't really impact me. I didn't even register.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I really like the instrumental that he used at the opening sequence. Because it wasn't like wall-to-wall music and sound. I don't like that either. That's too much. Right. I feel like you're trying to cover something up if you got that much music in your film.
Right.
But I also really loved how like Sean Penn was like, he showed vulnerability when Tim Robbins came on the porch after his daughter died. He said, "I can't even cry for her," and then Tim Robbins was like, "But you're crying now."
Right.
And I think the macho side of him, I think maybe too, he didn't want to believe that his daughter was dead, so maybe that's why he couldn't cry. I mean, he clearly did the big cry when he was hysterical when they discovered it was her. But I thought it was an interesting dynamic how he was just this tough guy, and it was this 18-year-old his 19-year-old daughter who was killed, and that's what brought him to his knees. But also, what was different about this film was this was a revenge film to me, because Sean Penn chose to kill who he thought murdered his 19-year-old daughter. It's interesting because if I compare it to a movie that was released this year on Amazon Prime, I won't say its name, there was a young man who was unjustly killed by a person who was hired by the government, and in that movie there was no revenge executed at all.
Right.
But in this particular story, Sean Penn, after getting wrong information, decided to take out the man who he thought killed his daughter, which was his friend, that's his childhood friend, who was the one who was molested.
And he coerced him into admitting it.
Oh, yes, he did, right? He did. And he,
I mean, right. And when people think that another person is guilty, no matter what they say, you're gonna always be guilty. Just admit it. Just admit the truth. You're lying. Stop lying. Stop lying. I'm telling you the truth. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They get in that desperate situation. They're like, I just want to go home. I just want to be done. So I'm gonna say whatever you tell me to say, so I can go home. They make these false promises, like Sean Penn's character. You know, just admit what you did. I'll let you live. You can go home. You know, and you don't even have to worry about it. And that's all a lie. So
totally
he's like, yeah, I did it. Then he's like, and why did you do it? What am I supposed to do? I got to make up some shit now. I didn't do it, but now I got to make up a why? Why did you do it? Fuck, I don't know. Because she was there?
And then, too, when, okay, this scarf, y'all, is getting on my nerve. It's coming off. I feel free. Woo, baby, I feel free. But Tim Robbins, like, why wouldn't he? Because Sean Penn said that if you beat up a child molester, he's like, anybody would be proud to say that. Like, why wouldn't you just acknowledge that you beat up somebody who was molesting a little boy? But I think, again, because he was in fact molested,
Right.
he was mentally unsound, emotionally unsound.
And they didn't take that into consideration.
Right. And again, I don't think again Sean and both Seans knew, and Kevin Bacon, they didn't know he was molested, right, Steve? They just know he was abducted. Or did they know? Did they know?
I don't think they did, because Tim Robbins' character, I don't think they did, because Tim Robbins' character, when he was talking to his wife, he named the dudes. He's like, I've never even told anyone that before. And if he's not even going to tell them their names,
right?
And it happened to him. So he's just been carrying that for years.
Because I think they're supposed to be like 35. So it's like, what? 23 years have passed.
Right.
Since that, because it happened when he was 12. And I'm surprised he was able to even, to connect with a woman and get married and have a child. But he was a good father, though.
Right.
He was a good father. That was interesting. I guess that's because we're complicated human beings. It's like, yes, I was molested, but I never got that he hurt his son. That he ever I like that never came to me at all. That he tried to molest his own son. They say it'll repeat if you were molested. No.
Right.
His son was totally safe with him. He had a great relationship, and to know that when his wife, and Sheldon was like, his wife, Tim Robbins' wife, she was in love with Sean Penn's character. That's why she was over there so frequently.
Really?
Because he was like, who would drop a dime on her own husband? Because remember she kept saying, Mary Beth, you want me to come back over? I can stay over. And Sean was like, no, go home. Her own cousin, like, no, go home. She was trying to be up in there.
I didn't even peep that.
Brother Sheldon. And
that makes perfect sense.
Because if you really love your husband, you don't have his. You ain't gonna tell the guy. You're not gonna tell the father of the victim. Oh, I think my husband.
Right.
Because you got your. I ain't saying nothing. I hope he didn't do it.
Especially when you know what he's about.
Right. He's never done. He has no history of killing or hurting anybody. Just because this is like, lady, what she's like kept saying, it's not in the newspaper. Mira, do you think the newspaper captured every incident that occurs in Boston? I don't know. Right. I don't know which city they were in, but it's like, just because it's not in the paper doesn't mean it didn't happen. The dude, your husband came home slashed up, right? He didn't slash himself. They just didn't report it. And like he said, the dude was, a molester. So he's not going to go to the hospital. He's going to explain why he slashed up, why somebody beat him up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she started doubting him right out the gate. I would never think my husband, he must have killed her. Although there's no history of him killing or being violent towards anyone. But yeah, he must have done it because it's not in the newspaper. What happened to him is not reported in the newspaper. So he must be making it up. It's like, so, and Sheldon also said that Sean Penn's wife was low-key happy that the 19-year-old was dead.
I was getting that vibe as well.
You were? How did you get the vibe? How did you get the vibe? Like what clues did you get?
It was more towards the end when Sean Penn was like, yeah, I killed somebody, it was the wrong dude. And she's like, whoa. Whatever you did was right because you did it for your family. And I told my girls that they don't have to worry about anything because your father will do whatever it takes to protect you. And she was just very stoic and
very zen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say shit.
But guess who was not like that? Tim Robbins' wife.
Right.
Because she even says, "Who does that? Who talks about her own husband? And why is she coming to you?"
Right.
That's a really split difference. Is like Sean Penn's wife knows he killed Tim Robbins, and she like, so.
Right. Oh, and like the look across the parade.
Laura Linney. It was like, yes, bitch, I know what you up to, and my husband is not checking for you, okay? And I never called women BITC. Sorry, y'all, but I'm just saying that what she was communicating non-verbally was just what I just said. I see you. I know you're checking for my husband. Right. Fall back, okay? He don't want you.
Right. And then she returned. Yay!
She sure did.
Parade. Yay! She switch it up like that.
She switched it up. Fire, Laura Linney. Right. Shout out to her. I'm so glad you brought up that moment, Steve. I think maybe it takes another actor, but I'm like, I love that. I wait for that moment every time I see it. I wait for it. Hey, didn't she look like she could kill you?
Right. She just went from. I was like, Tim Robbins' wife is not safe now.
No, because Steve, I think if Laura Linney, if his wife had to take somebody out, you think she wouldn't? And to me, go ahead.
She would take them straight out. I think in all honesty, I think she may be the real head of the gangster family.
I think so too.
Because when Sean Penn was breaking down, she was like, whoa, right back here. Look at me.
Yep.
We're going to take care of this.
Yep.
Everything's great. You don't have to worry about anything.
Mm-hmm.
She took care of shit like a boss. Got him back on her feet.
She did. She's like, no, because a king does what he's supposed to do.
Oh, yes.
What?
Even when it's hard.
Yes. And then she made love to him. I'm going to gas you up and then I'm going to make love to you like nobody's. Come on, Steve. That scene alone was incredible. Written well, acted well. Like, it was just like, no, it's fine what you did. I know you, but you're supposed to do that. That's what men are supposed to do. And she's also like, I don't even care if he's innocent. I don't care if he was innocent. I don't care.
Right.
Oh, well.
You did
collateral.
what you believed.
Right. You did what you were supposed to do.
From the information that you got, you were supposed to.
Because the average one would be like, oh my God, you killed somebody. He was innocent. And she was like, no. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, she basically said he probably did something to deserve to die. So there.
That's so true. Steve, that is so true. Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah, she gonna find a reason for him to die. Maybe he was putting him out of his misery.
I'm surprised she was
miserable.
I bet you she was thinking that.
Right.
And I'm like, cousin, you better watch your back.
Right.
Cause if you come up on her porch one more time.
Right.
And the thing is, she has no respect for her cousin now. It's like, because the Laura Linney character was like, she was all about loyalty, right? And so the idea that her cousin was disloyal to her husband, she's like, oh, the respect is gone. It's just a wrap.
Right. Done.
Yeah, it's done. It's done. But that scene when they were getting him drunk, Tim Robbins drunk.
Right.
They putting things together, and
I was like,
the look in Tim's eyes, he displayed such vulnerability
when he realized what was happening.
Yeah. But wait, we didn't talk about the scene between Tim Robbins when he showed a little gumption. Tim Robbins and Lawrence Fishburne during the interrogation scene.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk. Go ahead.
Can I have a drink? Like a sandwich. I thought that was awesome.
How's that Coke coming?
Right.
How's that Sprite or whatever he said? How's that coming?
Right, whatever the drink was.
Yeah, it's like, how's that coming? And wasn't that the only time we saw him display such confidence and bravado?
Right. Every other time he's just like.
He was very like. But he literally had swag up in the interrogation room. But that's complicated. That's a complicated character, right?
Right.
Because that wouldn't have been interesting if he was like, because it brings it back to my point, right? Even about blah 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 movie, people were saying this particular character, he's passive aggressive, so he's not going to ever get mad. Or he's not. It's like, no human being is one way all the time.
Right.
That's BS. Even cowards, even people who've been like cowards in some instances. Like, there are times where you're not going to be a coward. Something's going to push you, and you're like, I'm going to push back. This time, I'm going to push back. Right. So that's what I think. The writing was so good because it was like he had been this like he seemed to appear to be a pushover, meek right. and soft spoken. And then in this interrogation room, we discovered that he's smart. He's not as dumb and dopey as he comes across. And he does have a little swag. So in that room, I'm like, I see how he attracted his wife because he just tapped into it. And he outsmarted Lawrence Fishburne's character. Sorry.
Yeah, he did.
He did. And Kevin Bacon called him on it. It was like, you thought you were so smart.
Now look at you.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that up.
Yeah, I just really love the acting in this movie. Like, that ensemble was fire.
Right. I mean, it was like I was telling you, it was a bunch of actors that I like. I like the writing. I don't know what it is that the story. I like the execution. I like the directing, like everything about it, but I didn't like the movie. I think I just didn't like character is made. It's not that I didn't like them. I think I just disagreed with them. That's what it was. It was a movie. I liked the movie. I just disagreed with it.
Which one? Which character?
Everybody but Tim Robbins' character.
Oh.
Sean Penn's character, Laura Linney's character, Kevin Bacon's character. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I agree with what the boyfriend did.
Oh.
Those main three, yeah, I totally disagree with how they handled it.
Can we talk about the brothers?
It was like everybody was just trying to cover up. Yeah.
Steve, can we talk about the brothers, please? That scene. When he found out that his brother.
When it clicked.
When it clicked. Let's talk.
Did you see the change? Did you see the change?
I saw it. Woo! Steve, and again.
Yes. When they were questioning him, tell us about your father's gun. My father doesn't have a gun. Mm-hmm. It's the same one that had it happened in this robbery. We got the bullets. We pulled the bullets and they match. It was the same switch that Tim Robbins' character, like, father doesn't have a gun. And he knew it the whole time. He knew exactly what it was. My father doesn't have a gun. Can I go now? Because now he knows exactly what happened. He's like, who do you love? He's like, I love you. He's like, then say it. I know you can talk. He's like,
Discovery. We didn't know that.
Right. Man, I was like, what is happening? And then
when he beat his brother, he beat his brother like he didn't know him. Like his brother like was some stranger on the street who like stole his wallet. That's how he beat him, right, Steve?
Right. Yes.
And then his brother's friend, he stumped him in his face.
Right. He's like, he never does anything without you. Because I know you, so I know you in on this.
You know what he didn't do? He didn't peacefully protest. Yes, that's shade. Woo! That's shade.
Woo!
That's shade. If you're gonna make a revenge film, make a revenge film, or else make a romantic comedy.
Woo! Do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's the cracking that all them toes you just stomped on. He didn't peacefully protest. Nope.
I'm just saying, folks. This was a real drama, just a real conflict. It's like the stakes were high, and if that means I gotta kill my child, if I have to kill my childhood friend, then that's what it is. If I have to beat up my brother, I almost killed my brother because he killed my girlfriend, my fiance rather, who I loved. Then that's what I have to do.
Right.
No kumbaya, no, well, he didn't mean it, he didn't speak, our father wasn't around. No, none of that. No. It was like instinct. Boom, you gotta go. I'm gonna beat you up old school or I'm gonna kill you. But one of those things are going to happen. And that's what I just need us to, as Black, I just need us, if we're gonna make those kind of films, then follow through. Or just don't make that kind of film.
Right.
That's all. You know what I mean? And that, like, I'm sorry, y'all, for going there, but I'm just like, either if you don't want to shake things up, then just do a family drama or a romantic comedy. Or romantic comedy, and that's fine. I love those too. But don't do a revenge film and ain't no fucking revenge.
Off touch at the end.
Like, just don't. That's like having a Bruce Lee film. In Bruce Lee film, every Bruce Lee film, somebody at the beginning of the film killed his cousin or mother or father or whatever. And he gonna get him at the end. He's not going to peacefully protest. He's not going to have them doing monologues about like what type of challenge they had in society. No, I'm spending this whole movie finding you to kill you.
Right.
And we as the audience, we wait for that. We're not waiting for him to sing Kumbaya.
I forgive you because we need to come together in peace. That's how we get along. That's how we move forward. I move forward when I take from you what you took from me. And so that's how I move forward.
Yeah. So I just wanted to do a film yesterday from y'all because I love this movie so much. As I said, Sheldon and I, we talked about the acting. We gotta do Doubt.
Doubt.
I don't know. Did you like Doubt? The movie that made Viola Davis a star with Meryl Streep.
Oh.
Yeah. Thumbs up on that. Y'all see his face. Doubt everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
That deals with molestation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Catholicism. I mean, I'm not shading Catholicism, but I'm just saying there's a through line happening here, folks.
Through history as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we can wrap this up. So Steve, if you wanna talk about, if we give the 5 stars as far as the ensemble acting, 1 to 5 stars, what would you say?
I give it 5 stars all the way around.
Oh.
Story, writing, directing, cinematography, acting. I need to give it about 7 or 8.
Easy.
Because everybody brought it. Even the mute child, he brought it. And I've seen that actor in a bunch of other stuff.
Oh.
He didn't say a word, but he brought it. You knew what he was talking about.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, I give it 5 stars all the way around. I just disagreed with how they handled it.
Okay.
But then again, that's more realistic.
That is. It is.
The mob mentality. They're not going to hear anything until they handle it the what they thought was right.
Right, because I think too they were like, sometimes the police is a little slow. Or sometimes they never catch the killer, right? Never. That's why they have cold cases.
Yep. Right.
So, but it's a fictional world. I guess Sean was the anti-hero.
Yeah.
Because he was, avenging his daughter's death. Anyway, I would give it 5 stars. I'm gonna give the acting 10 stars because the acting was so fire, and like you can tell that they would listen to one another. I think in a featurette, Kevin Bacon was like, "Can we rehearse this? This is a heavy film because we don't want to just show up willy nilly." And so they actually got together and rehearsed like a play. That's rare because most actors don't want to rehearse for film. Yes, that's what I saw in an interview.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm like, but that contributed to the excellent acting to me.
I agree.
And then most of them are from the theater too. Well, I don't think Sean Penn is from the theater, right? I know Kevin Bacon is. Kevin and Lawrence is. Laura Linney definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Marcia Gay. I think Marcia Gay Harden's from the theater too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you could tell. But I don't know if Sean Penn, but Sean's been acting since he was a child, so it's kind of like
right.
I can see him doing theater easy. But yeah, so if you guys have saw Mystic River, don't be shy. Comment below if you really dug it. Or if you didn't like it, comment why you didn't like it. But I just thought the vulnerability displayed in both the little boy and the men was really touching, especially Sean Penn and Tim Robbins and the different women. They had different spectrums of women, like the really meek. Tim Robbins and his wife was very meek, soft-spoken. And then you got Sean Penn and his wife. They were like about it. And so it was a nice contrast. And then Lawrence Fishburne and Kevin Bacon were right in the middle. So that's our little film reaction to Mystic River, directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Lawrence Fishburne, Kevin Bacon, and Laura Linney and Marcia Gay Harden. All right, y'all, take care. Peace. Chinese.